Hi everyone, back to Ladies in Biz, and this week we have a phenomenal guest like normal. And hi Kristine, Leadbetter, how are you today?
Hello, thank you so much for having me, Penny. I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh, well, I'm glad you came in because today Kristine is going to talk to us a lot about LinkedIn, and we haven't had a guest to just give us some lowdown on LinkedIn and where entrepreneurs and businesses really should know about what they can do and how they can use it. But just to give you an idea that Kristine comes with a great background, so she can speak with authority. So Kristine, you're a producer and a host right now for a TV show podcast for Leadbetter with Kristine. So it's out there. So guys, go and look for that. You're a founder of the Women's Leadership Network and business development and marketing manager for Gallings, which is a law firm in Hamilton, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also you were a founder and former host of DeGroote's Women's Professional Network. So you are just one of those girls that gets up there and you just start it up because you know there's a need and you go for it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm led by passion, right? And I think that comes from, when I was growing up, I didn't realize all the opportunity that was out there. I didn't realize how many things you can get involved with. I was sort of, raised in a very enclosed environment, which, had, maybe its benefits as well. Love you, mom and dad, no offense. But when I got older and, life didn't turn out exactly the way I thought it was. And I started this job at DeGroote actually. And all of a sudden I was going to Toronto. I started going to these events. I started going to these women's networks. And those were really safe environments to sort of spread my wings a little bit. And I was like, oh my goodness, there are so many incredible women. There are so many incredible stories, careers, and I just lit up. And since then I've been a bit of a sponge and I just get really excited. And so some of the things that I've developed is just mostly platforms for sharing more of those stories because I'm so inspired. I continue to be so inspired. Last night I attended the women, the Women's Awards from Women of Influence. Oh my goodness.
In Toronto for those
it just makes you feel like you're not doing enough. You hear from these women and all of their incredible accomplishments, and it just, I don't know, to me, it excites me. It lights a fire up under me, and I just want to be a part of that and be a little sponge along the way and learn from everybody. So that's kind of
pretty incredible. I think when you first start becoming more aware of women and what they're doing out there and what their achievements are, it is absolutely astounding because it's like, really, like we never hear about this.
I know.
And it's so wonderful now that women are in positions and we have a medium like podcasts, like TV, of course, to be able to share all those stories that really do inspire women. And that's certainly why I started Ladies in Biz. Like it was the same thing. I wanted women to hear other women's stories and know they're not alone.
Yeah.
And that they can succeed. They have skills that are out there that they didn't even know they had.
Yeah. And kudos to you for being one of those women as well that are creating a platform for women to share their stories. Like, it's so great. It's still needed. Women do not have equal play in the media. So it's going to take women to make women and to get them there. So, kudos to you, Penny, for doing this. Because I know it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work on the side of your desk on top of everything else that you're doing. So, kudos to you and all those other women. And what's so great is then, to bring it back to today's topic, then we can meet more of each other and share and support each other through LinkedIn. And not saying that it's just like LinkedIn's just something to share and support women. I mean, we want men too. That's all about social capital and having everybody involved. But, LinkedIn's a great platform as well that can help us continue to build the message, to share the messages. And thank goodness for social media because it makes sharing things a lot easier.
Yeah, and you know what, I really think that plus it when 2020 is going to be totally, I think it's already, you see that emergence of the importance of being engaging and talking and reaching your ideal clients. And one of the most wonderful thing about social media, and this is why it's grown so much, or businesses have used it, because particularly in Instagram, and I'm an Instagram girl, so I really love it. It's something I talk about and I teach, but I really love it because it gives an opportunity for people to really connect with the brand, to be able to ask them questions, and they can do it privately, they can DM, they can whatever they want. It's just, and years before, we would never have that connection with the brand.
Yeah.
in with celebrities or anyone where you can send them a message, and you
Yeah.
know what? Everyone likes that feedback or likes the connection.
Yeah, and you can connect with anybody. And what a powerful tool to have at our fingertips. And it's free, so it's accessible by everybody, right? There's those barriers that tend to come with things like media and broadcasting don't exist. This is a tool available to the public, and the question is, are you using it, and are you leveraging it to its
Absolutely.
potential, or to where you could take it, either for you yourself professionally because you work for a company, or so your reputation, your career, those sorts of things, or if you have your own company, are you using it to build out?
And you know what? So we're talking about LinkedIn, is that LinkedIn was always considered to be not even a social channel, but I
Yeah.
always included it in the social channel like a few years ago. And now it's even, I really believe it is a social channel. It's used in a different format.
Hmm.
So is Facebook is used differently than Instagram, and
Yeah.
LinkedIn is just a different method as well.
Yeah.
And because, and I think that they've hired some people in LinkedIn about probably now almost around 2 years ago, where they definitely, their strategy, you could see it's coming, that they wanted there to be more connection and people to be able to reach each other and communicate and engage.
Yeah.
So it's and I see it every few months. You see they adapted and made some changes and
Hmm.
updated the platform.
Yep.
It's becoming so good. So I think let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn, and particularly that first page when you go in, when you say, okay, I want to know a little bit about. So let's talk about LinkedIn and about that very first page where it's the profile and the pictures and everything. So can you take it from there and give us a little bit more information on what this is, what you need?
Yeah, and also just a segue into that from your last comment. I mean, there is so many social media platforms, and I don't want anybody to think that they need to be on all of them. It's a lot of work, right? And
Oh,
you need
yeah,
to keep up and
absolutely.
keep the conversation going, and you don't want to look stale or that you're not really paying attention. So pick a few, but make one of them LinkedIn. And I'm going to talk about why with you. But I think that LinkedIn really, unless you have your own personal webpage, and I still don't think that's enough, that's a way that you're linking into everybody professionally. If you change your job, you change your career, you go into a different industry, any kind of pivot that you make throughout your professional life, LinkedIn can go with you because it's sort of your stagnant home on the web. And you really need to use your LinkedIn page, I'm going to suggest, to set yourself up for success. So that is your introduction to people. And as the technology gets more sophisticated, as algorithms get more sophisticated, your digital version of yourself will know you better than you know yourself. So it's really important to be considerate of your digital version and know how to leverage it and set that narrative and tone, which I think some people are overwhelmed by, but it doesn't have to be. So if we go through a LinkedIn page, which is essentially your digital reputation, there's a few key things that I'm going to suggest that you should pay attention to, right? And I'll also add one more advocate point for LinkedIn is it's the most trusted social media platform.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Very, very valid, because, without a doubt, it is trusted. And the people trust that what's on it is accurate.
Yes, and that's Business Insider's digital trust report that it ranks LinkedIn as the most trusted one, and Facebook is dead last. So if your entire business is happening on Facebook, just bounce it out a little bit, pop some LinkedIn there. And the reason for that is because people are endorsing you, right? You're connected to other people that say, I know you, or I have, a connection to you, and that gives you credibility, right? So I think that's one of the main reasons why, again, it's also perceived as trusted, because you have real people that are backing you up. So I think that's an important element to note about LinkedIn. So, okay, how to set up your profile, have a presence, show up. So create your profile, and then you want to make it an all-star profile. So and unfortunately, I guess I should have maybe brought in something that I could show you on the screen, but if you're listening to this podcast, maybe have your LinkedIn profile up and we can kind of walk through it together. I'm actually going to pull up mine right now. That's probably really helpful. So you want to have an all-star profile. So when you go onto your personal profile page, it'll tell you kind of if you've got more room to fill out or if you've reached that all-star profile status. So that's your goal. Once you've got to that, at a bare minimum, you're there, you filled out all the areas, you've given some color to who you are and what you're about. And then it's up to you how much more you want to be active on it. But just doing that and revisiting it every 6 months to a year, to me, that's minimum just to be on the platform. And that's not too taxing, right? That keeps yourself relevant and looking pretty online kind of thing.
I guess, and so the images play a big part on it as well, because you want to make sure that you've got a great headshot, and then the portion where it has the profile for the business.
Yeah.
You know, if I look at someone that is on there and they haven't got it filled out at the top, their picture or something about their company, I just wonder about how professional they are, or their knowledge of how to present themselves as a brand in that as well.
Yeah, and to that point, a picture is 1,000 words. So how are you using those 1,000 words? Your headshot's really important. And I mean, we've heard a million articles tell us, have a good headshot, have a professional headshot. Do you know how many headshots that are literally in my inbox right now that are not professional, that have like a dog, or like clearly it's a selfie in the car, or you know what I mean? Like I see them all the time. I'm like, really? You still haven't got that, Emma? So anyways, if that is you, it's not too late, but fix it. Because again, a picture says 1,000 words. And if you want to connect with me, or say you want to, like, you know, you're applying for a job with me, or I'm applying for a job with you. If you're not taking LinkedIn seriously in this day and age, then I'm kind of questioning if you're really like in tune with what's happening in the digital sphere. So I would take it really seriously. Have that professional headshot, and you know, another advanced move, let's call it, is mastering your expression, your outfit. You know, what does your headshot say about you? Are you friendly? Are you stern? Is that the look you want or not? Like, and maybe ask a friend or a colleague, you know, what they think a first impression of your photo is. But don't overlook the importance of it. It's not slap a photo up there and you're done. Think about it, because it opens doors for you. It really does, how people perceive you visually. And along with that is your header photo, right? So what's behind your profile picture with that header photo? How are you using that real estate? It's, you know, and another little thing is we all have the same real estate to use. So, you know, that like phrase about Beyonce has the same amount of hours in the day. Well, we all have the same amount of real estate space on LinkedIn. So how are you using it to your advantage? And when you're cropped really, really small and people are flipping through a whole bunch of profiles at once, the only thing that people see is your profile photo, that header photo behind, your background photo, your name and your title. So those are your four most important areas of your profile. So I would take it seriously. And, you know, a little segue to online dating. Don't catfish people. Don't use a photo from like 10 years ago that you don't look like anymore, or you gained 30 pounds, lost 30 pounds. Own it. It's okay. You know what I mean? Just be who you are. And that's all people want. They want to know authentically who you are. And that's what it's about. So keep your photo relevant as a reminder, at the very least, when you have to renew your license or your health card and you have to update those photos. Do the same thing with your LinkedIn, right? So try to keep it relevant, because, you know, I'm sure we've all faced this, where we see someone in person, we're like, oh, you look a lot different than you did online. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's a first letdown of your brand when people see you in person. So avoid that.
I actually think we should change the whole wording about headshot, because it's not, yes, it is at your head per se, but it's also supposed to be able to capture who your personality, or what your personality is. And maybe some sense of curiosity maybe might be good too.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I've read many times about not looking on the side, like you're looking away from the people. You should be looking ahead. I mean, but I think the best thing, and I think you suggested it with just a minute ago, was ask a bunch of friends too. What do they think about it? Because you know how we're so critical of our own pictures, everybody is.
Oh, that's true too.
And I'm always shocked when someone says, oh, that's a beautiful picture. It really captures you. You're going, oh, that's ugly.
I know, it's so awful. We're so hard on ourselves. And I mean, I do it too. Like, we all do it. We're hypercritical and we're never happy. But like, I think, don't, like, look at the expression, look at the personality, look at what you're evoking through your photo, and focus on that. And hopefully you've got some good friends and colleagues that you can trust to give you some honest feedback there, right? So if you really do have a photo that maybe, you know, you got some lipstick on your tooth or whatever, you know, you can fix for that. But and a couple other little photo things is, I think, that are really funny. If it's a weird crop, like the photo didn't, and it's kind of like, it's not filling in the circle, fill in
Yeah.
the circle. Or like there's a body part from someone else, like fingers or something that are like cropped in it.
Somebody else was in the
And
picture.
it's just like, okay, whatever. But, make it really clean again. Cause like people are always, I don't know, like, how do you feel when you see someone's photo like that? I don't know, just something to think about. I still think we have to have a photo conversation because it's not mastered yet. I don't think we've all mastered it yet. So
No, I think the key too is definitely keeping it pretty current. Also thinking about the colors that you're wearing,
yeah,
are they on brand, or
yeah,
are they colors that are really good on you, or the color, the meaning of the color,
yeah,
with the meaning of blue means stability and trust. And so is
yeah,
that
for
what you
sure.
want to do, right?
Yeah,
So
and I'll
think
do a
it
shout
through.
out. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I think you need to think it through, like,
Yeah,
just not just getting a headshot. I think it's one of those times, okay, this may be saying it a little stretch, but it is one of those times when I've gone to get a headshot that I actually went and had someone do my makeup for me.
yeah,
Yeah, it
exactly.
doesn't hurt. Get your hair done by someone, so then you're not fussing. You're paying money for the photographer. Look your best.
And you know what? This time I did that, and this is the first time I'm really happy with my headshot. And the person who did my headshot, because I thought she was fabulous, I've sent many people to her, is Sandra Mulder. She's from Banco Media, and I think she's fantastic. And another resource I wanted to share too on the photo front and the background photo is Canva. So that's an online program. It's free, and you can go and you can design a graphic there if you don't have any graphic skills or you don't want to hire someone. If you wanted to create something, like maybe you're an author of a book and you want to stick your book up there and the title of your book, or maybe you're a public speaker or coach, or any of those kinds of things. Canva.com. It's a great tool.
I use it every
All
single
right.
day of my life. Yes, I am the premium Canva user.
All right. Well, there we go. So you can vouch for it.
Couldn't live without it. Whenever you're doing any kind of social media, or when, just in business in general, it's a great tool, and there's not a long learning curve on it
No,
by any
so
means. It's
simple.
pretty quick.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of templates. The other thing I think is that really important on your profile too, that some people kind of overlook, is your personal URL. A lot of people don't know that you can personalize your URL, which is really great. So when you're sharing it, it's clean, right? And so to do that, when you're on your laptop or your desktop, when you go into your profile, beside the top, there's a little pencil where you can go in and you can edit, and then you can edit your personal URL and, make it your name. If your name's already taken, maybe add, a degree to the end of it. I'd stay away from adding your company name in case that name changes, because in your URL, you'll have to change alongside of it. You want to make it something that will always stay with you. So something very neutral, but it shows you care. It shows you took that little bit of extra attention. And then when you share that link out, you don't have like numbers and letters and hyphens after your name. So just a little tip there.
It's so funny. Well, I'll tell you the story about, I've grown children, and for a Christmas gift, that's what I gave them, all their own name URLs.
Oh, for like a domain name.
Yeah. So if it was Aaron Redmond,
Not a bad idea.
so they own their names. And I thought, because it's hard to get a name, is sometimes, even when you're developing a business, and when you're looking at names, you're going, well, my name is already taken.
Yeah.
You just wanted to name your company your name, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's what I did. So one of the things that I would advise everyone that's listening to this today is go and get your name URL. So if it's KristinineRedmond.com, or whatever your name is.
Leadbetter.ca.com, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or .ca. In fact, there's a big push right now for us to make sure we're .ca.
Yeah.
So it reflects that we're Canadians and we should be proud of it.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so do that. On your checklist, go and put that on your to-do list and do that. Give it yourself a present. And so you can keep it. And it's like around $16 a year or less.
Yeah.
And so it's well worth it to keep, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a great point. So personalizing your LinkedIn as well and getting that done before your name's taken, but finding creative workarounds. But again, keep it that neutral sort of statement. And then the other thing I think is really interesting too, that I don't think people realize, this is where sometimes I feel like, when you're not a rule breaker, your headline. So you put your title as your headline, but be a rule breaker. You don't have to put exactly what your title is. You can,
I
I mean,
agree.
it should indicate what your job title is, definitely, but it should also indicate some of your core competencies or your technical skills. And the reason for that is you want people to have a quick synopsis of who you are and what you're about. Or if a recruiter is looking or someone is looking for maybe your services or your products, from your headline, they should be able to get that. So it is better for SEO setup as well. So have a good headline and be a rule breaker.
So I'm going to read yours because I think yours was excellent. It's a great example, if you don't mind. And I think this is
Sure.
what I had, that your strategy to execution, relationship builder, innovative change agent, marketing communications maven, TV host, and producer. So how's that?
I mean, I thought it was decent, but I didn't know you did too.
Yes, but also again, it goes back to building a curiosity and wondering, oh my goodness, she's these. What else is she capable of doing? And what else do we need to know? And we should figure out, get deeper into understanding what this is all about, right?
That's a good point. Have it as like a teaser and drive curiosity and get them, well, to your point, get them to keep going down and reading more and wanting to see what's next and kind of putting some excitement into your profile that way. So yeah, that's a really good tip.
Yeah, well, it was a good tip because I read that and going, wow, that's really clever. Like, I like that. I hadn't seen that before. So,
and it did take a lot of time. Like, I'll also say that, like, choosing a photo, choosing choosing less and like only a few words, a few characters, that's really hard to that's drilling down exactly what you're about and what your value, your unique value offering is, like is specific to you. And that takes time. So like that started with a whole list of skill sets and assets that I thought I was, and I asked other people and I got it down to these couple points because I did think that was most reflective of who I am as a professional, but that was very difficult. So not saying any of this is easy, but I just think it's worth it.
yeah, I think so too. You do. And you know what? All of these, you do have to take your time and you really think it through and think about if you're someone that's reading it and how they're interpreting it so they can understand what you do. So not being too vague, being specific enough that they can get what you do as well and what your strengths are. And that's what you want to really do, is profile your strengths.
Yeah. And if you're not sure what they are, try to listen to what people keep complimenting you on. Like what skills or projects do you get complimented on the most? And that was sort of like, for example, strategy to execution. I've gotten complimented on having great ideas, but being able to execute them. And it took somebody else, Margaret Zanel, thank you, to tell me that was a skill. There's lots of people that can throw out ideas, but not to execute them. And then once you sort of kind of gave me that framework, I was like, oh, and then, it is, so that's kind of been where I'm taking my brand and everyone's got something different, but listen to what people compliment you on at work. And that will kind of help you fill in that phrase for yourself.
Yours is lovely. So anyone wants to go back into Kristine's, you can use her LinkedIn as an example and to inspire you to come up with other ideas for yourself as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I also did that too, right? I definitely jumped around in other people's profiles. I looked at photos that I liked, headlines that I liked, and then I kind of crafted mine from there. So yeah, good point. And then, once you have that, then you have your about section. And I'm always surprised at how many people don't fill that out. And there's lots of opinions on how to fill this one out, whether it should be first person, third person, point form, storytelling.
Yes.
I don't know if you have any opinions on that, Penny, but.
Oh, you know what? I don't know if anything is specifically right. It's almost like, but here's where I'm sitting, what side of the fence I'm on right now. I actually think you should be talking like it is you, not as a third person.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because people are supposed to be connecting specifically to you. And if you're talking to them about how you are, then they're connecting with you rather than someone else is saying about what you've done. So
I would agree.
Okay, well, but the other thing is the other way when you do third person, it's so much easier to write.
It is. Yeah. It is. You're right.
So maybe the key is write it as a third person and then switch it over to be first person.
That's a great tip. But I would agree because this is your digital self, right? You're inviting them in. I don't know. I wrote mine in first person because that's kind of my personality. And I am someone to say, hi, like I'm Kristine. Like, so I think it matches my personality as well. But I wanted them to, the visitors to my profile, to know I am talking to you. So
Mine is still the third person, I think. And you know what? As of tomorrow, I'm doing my to-do list right now. I'm going to go back and
oh,
it's just an oversight because I know I have a strong belief in it should be first person. So why would mine be person? I have no idea.
it's okay. He'll get to it. You know, we're very busy. There's lots going on. It's okay. It's okay.
First person. But in the same token, this is really important, and you should take the time to do it. It is your digital presence.
Yeah.
And really, it should look professional, and it should be what you want it.
Yeah, and it's a funnel too. You want to keep bringing them down and bringing them down.
You bet.
So the next couple of spots on your LinkedIn is then your experience, your education, your volunteer experiences. I mean, I personally haven't gotten into details about all of those, but I have filled it out with all the different experiences I have because people don't have a lot of time. So I just put in a headline and then a company, year, date, that kind of thing for those categories. And I feel like that's substantial enough for me, but others where I do think so, but fill it out because it gives a full picture. It shows if you've done a career pivot, and that's never a bad thing either. If you switch careers or if you've gone from being a working professional to an entrepreneur, that's great too. It shows that you are well-rounded. You've had a vast experiences throughout your career. All of that's good stuff. So don't be afraid to hide anything. I don't think anything's, and even if you've had a gap in your career, especially for women, if you were off work because maybe you took some time to be a stay-at-home mom for a little while, think of all the experiences you've learned from that. Like, I'm sure you've learned patience and all kinds of other soft skills that are so important. So I mean, I'm a woman saying this, but I don't think that women should be ashamed or embarrassed or try to hide that, because I think there's so much value in life experiences there.
Absolutely. And you know, the other thing is, I think it's good to have some time off. Even in between, I really believe, and I've done this myself, where before I start another job, I try to take a month off, because it just gives you an opportunity to actually breathe, come down off of that adrenaline run that we're probably on before. And not only do I do this, also in a professional or in a corporate world, I did that, but I actually do it also even as my own, as a consulting company, I do it.
Okay.
Because I'm so, particularly if I do one big company and I'm focused on that, it's hard to get your brain to turn off on it. And then to switch gears and then focus on another big project. You want to give yourself a little bit of a break and time to get back on your feet and to think differently.
Yeah, no, and you know what, even on small scale, like for me at work, if I can't quite, get some clarity around an idea or a project or whatever, I find if I go for a walk and I don't have time for a walk, I'm too busy, whatever, when I finally do, it's like, it's the writer's block issue, right? So taking that time off is actually very constructive, right? But we don't allow ourselves to do that. We don't, especially as women, we don't give ourselves permission to stop, right? But really, it's not stopping. It's just changing things up for a little while. And that's when the good ideas and you get invigorated and all the good stuff comes out. But it's really hard to remind ourselves to do that when there's a million priorities.
All too often I can tell you that, specifically lately when I'm learning a lot of new technologies and new platforms, it can be really quite stressful and taxing, and you're very focused on it. And all of a sudden you're stumped. Like when you're doing a sales funnel and there's all these steps and platforms that you have to do, and remember that the content has to be right, it gets very overwhelming sometimes. And the best thing is to take a walk. Like when you feel as though you're not moving forward, you can't go ahead or move forward, then take a walk. I think that I'm glad you mentioned that you do that, because I really think it's free. Anybody can go for a walk. You don't have to have an excuse about going to the gym for 20-minute drive to the gym. Literally, you can walk out the door.
Walk around the neighborhood or your office or whatever your situation is. For me, that goes a long way. Because getting to the gym isn't always realistic. Like, yes, I know I need to go to the gym. I know, but some days that's not realistic, where I'm like, I could go for a coffee walk, and maybe it's like 4 minutes, but sometimes that's enough to get you through. So anyway, side note, but let's all be a little less harsh on ourselves.
So, and I think also going back to LinkedIn is when you've been doing and working on all of this, I'd really advise you to do go for a walk after.
Yeah, and reflect.
Give yourself a break and then come back and read it with a fresh look at it. And you might be a little bit more objective.
Yeah.
And come up with some other better ways. And not to just quit the first time you do it. And you mentioned about going back and keeping it fresh. You know what? Go back another week and say, you know, is that really what I wanted to provide to everyone?
Yeah.
The message I wanted everyone to hear or see.
Yeah.
And is it really my brand? Is it like, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. And two, like the last two sections that we're going to kind of get into, I think really speak to that as well. So the next one after all of your expertise and education is the skills and endorsement section. And I'm always really surprised at how many people don't fill this out. So you have 50 spots currently. That might change as well.
50?
There's
50 a number. There is,
which is a lot, but you know what? We are very, very skilled as you know, individuals, as women. So and what I love now is they're breaking them out into different types of skills. So it might be industry knowledge, it might be soft skills, and it might be technical skills. And now LinkedIn, I mean, of course, this could change, but currently that's the dynamic. So when you start to break down your skill sets in those different categories, 50 is like not enough, but people aren't filling them out. And why that's important is because that's how people find you. That is good for your SEO, your search function on LinkedIn. So the more you fill out, the more recruiters can find you, or people just searching in general. It just makes your profile so much more friendly. And to your point about, is this my brand? You'll start to know if it is your brand or not, because the messages that you'll get, or the job offers that are going to start popping up, or recommended readings, if that's in like alignment with you, you know, you'll see things of interest. If things aren't of interest, then you might want to revisit some of those things because they might not be exactly accurate, or there might be just a little bit better of a word, and you might just need to rethink some of those things. But at the very least, just fill out all 50. So
for when a company has Google business account, I really encourage them to have reviews. Like, it's really important. And because the algorithms can pick up what is on those reviews, and you really insert keywords. This would be the same for LinkedIn as well. So when people are saying skills or writing up that, you know, they've worked with you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You might even want to encourage them to use some other keywords that are in their write-up.
Yeah, and also say with the skills and endorsement sections, I mean, this is personal, so I'm not actually sure, because you never really know what their algorithms are, but choose terms that are widely used. If you make things overly unique, people won't be able to search for it and find it because it's not words that they use. So just, you know, when I think there's a tool called like, that's a terrible, I'll send you the link and maybe you could include it after, but there is a tool you can use that will tell you like the top phrases about a certain subject. So you know what are the key words to use that people search for the most. But with LinkedIn, they do pop up as well. So it's not a benefit to get creative here.
Spoon feed you a little bit.
Pardon?
LinkedIn sort of spoon feeds you a little bit on the search words. So they're actually easier than some of the other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So you can figure it out a lot faster on what you should be putting in there.
Yeah.
And I also think that one thing that I know I've been guilty at, as well as having ones that are current endorsements, like ones that are, you know, more fresh, because, you know, as I've been in business for a long time in the corporate world, and then as a consultant, and you just kind of sometimes forget about asking people to do endorsements.
Like the recommendations?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I would agree, actually. I'm shocked at how many people don't have recommendations. You know, we're heading to that kind of society. We recommend everything. We choose products and services based on the ratings of other people, whether we know them or not. That's the whole influencer phenomenon, right? It's real people that are recommending products that they have used firsthand, or if they haven't, you know, hashtag ad. But it's the same with your LinkedIn profile. People are recommending you firsthand and endorsing you. So I think they're very valuable, whether you're endorsing the skill sets, right? Or you're actually writing a recommendation about people. Either way, that's going to increase your credibility, because there's other professionals that have put their neck out and said, yes, this person's good at X, Y, and Z, or this was a great person to work with or work for. So I think both of those are so important, and I think they're really overlooked.
And you shouldn't wait until the moment that you're thinking that you're going to change your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know we're probably all guilty of it, is that if we're going to change our job, then we want to make sure that we've got all of these recommendations.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden the recommendations are coming from all these people that's in your sphere of work, when really you want to make sure that you keep that up to date. And, you know, especially if you're dealing with people that aren't in your business,
Yeah.
or in your company, you should try to get them to give you a recommendation.
Yeah. And I mean, this is maybe a little bit overkill for some people, but I have a reminder in my calendar for every 2 weeks to rethink if there's anybody I've worked with or finished a project that I could recommend or they could recommend me. And I'm active about this, because also we forget, you know, you did this great thing with someone and then you kind of move on and you totally forget. And then when you need that information, it's, you know, you don't remember what you should talk about, or how was that person to work with? I don't really, so I try to be mindful of that. Now that's overkill for some people. So maybe you just want to do this a couple times a year. The other thing is the ABC in LinkedIn, always be connecting. So that same sort of philosophy, that 2-week reminder is, who have I worked with or connected with in the last 2 weeks that I forgot to link in with, because you're planting seeds for your future self. And maybe in the future, you're going to open your own business. Wouldn't it be great if you already had an established network that you could share that news with? So you got to be thinking ahead with LinkedIn.
And in recommendations, more that I think is really important when you own a business is that people are connecting and talking about you, not necessarily about your company.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're developing that relationship with them as a one-on-one.
Yeah, yeah. And the one-on-one relationships is what it's all about, right? Like that's how, what the purpose of LinkedIn is, to create those. And, you know, with companies nowadays, it is like people are realizing it is about relationships. It's about relationships with your consumers, right? And the whole point of social media is to get social and to engage and have two-way conversation. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk about at the very beginning, but I think it's worth bringing up right now, is a lot of people think that LinkedIn is just B2B, which is business to business. And they don't think of it as business to a customer.
Yeah.
To see. And I would say that's totally wrong. And the reason I say that is because of just what we were talking about, is connecting with people and engaging with people. Mm-hmm. Your customers, if someone is wanting to do, wants to hire my business for something for digital marketing, they can go to my LinkedIn, and they're going to see what other people have said about me, and they're going to evaluate whether or not they want to do business with me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then that's based on your recommendations and your endorsements and who you're connected with, right?
Yeah. So don't really think it's about business to business, because it's both.
And I will say this, like when you're connecting to people, like the magic number is 500, right? And then it's 500 plus connections. But, you know, people always have questions, should I connect with people I know or don't know? And it is about building networks. So, you know, it's an online world, it's a global world. I don't think you always have to meet people face to face. But as a word of caution, sometimes, I've had this happen recently, there was a gentleman that reached out for this incredible career opportunity. Too good to be true, one of those. But we had 80 people in common. I was like, we have 80, and some of these are very senior people. So I was like, maybe I should take this one seriously. So I actually reached out to about 30 people, just, you know, because I needed a quick response. None of us knew him. So yeah, those kind of people are out there. So just always double check. That's what I'm saying. Like it should be fairly legitimate usually, but sometimes somebody weasels in, gets through a whole network of people, and you think, oh, this is a safe contact because I've got so many contacts in common. But just the dark side of LinkedIn a little bit there, just like any social media platform, just like walking down the street, there are creepers everywhere. So just be very aware.
You know, so funny, I've seen it just recently a little bit more often on LinkedIn, where there's one man, but he knew 15 people that I knew. And I looked at it and I'm going, you know what? I don't ever remember anyone ever mentioning his name.
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, no, this isn't good. So I did decline the invite. So
Good.
everyone that's listening, you can decline an invite. Don't feel uncomfortable about it.
Yeah.
And Kristine, you came up with a great solution by checking, but often you can just figure it out by going to their own profile. If you're looking at their profile and you don't see how they would ever connect with anyone that you would know, that or people that say that he's connected to, you go, nah.
Yeah.
This is
Still
legit.
trust your gut. Digital safety, those are still parts of this. But anyways, just those words of caution. But mostly, I find it's phenomenal, and the fact that I could reach out to 30 people and I did get responses. Like, I just think that's incredible. I absolutely love LinkedIn. I think it's such a powerful tool. And we've only scratched the surface because we've just chatted about setting yourself up on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and not using even it as a marketing tool, because it's a great marketing tool.
Yeah.
I've had, particularly for the podcast, it's been wonderful where I've had people reach out to me through LinkedIn many times for being on the podcast, which is wonderful because maybe they weren't able to get me in another way, or they thought that it was a very professional platform to reach out to me in a safe platform, so that I was able to look at their profile right away to see if it was a good fit or not a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's really a wonderful platform for many, many reasons, but connecting is the number one reason why I love LinkedIn.
And I'm not sure how much time we have left, Penny, but I don't know if you want to segue.
So I've got actually, if you don't mind, we're going to run out of time. So
Yeah,
one of the things that I always do at the very end is I always ask your guests to give one message that they really like to give and share with all our listeners.
Okay, so if I have one thing to think about, is your LinkedIn is like a public demonstration of your social capital, and your social capital is basically your connections, and your those connections provide you with resources, either connections to other connections or to job opportunities. So it's a great way, and one of the reasons why women lack getting into leadership position is they have a lack of social capital. So we've got this tool that can help solve for this. It can help build your social capital. So be present on it for that reason. Do connect, follow people, engage with others, in both bridging and bonding concepts, meaning in people that are similar to your tribe and people with diversity of perspectives, and of interests and industries, and really round out your community, because you never know when you'll need those connections. So again, I think it's such a fabulous tool. And feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. And thanks so much, Penny, for having me on here.
Great. And that was my next question, is for people, if you want to connect with Kristine further, we all know you can find her on LinkedIn.
Yes, you can find me on LinkedIn. So great conversation.
So anyway, so thanks so much for coming on and just having a chat about LinkedIn and how it can be used by entrepreneurs, people that are in the corporate world, and how valuable that platform can be for all of us in connecting with more people. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Hey listeners, this is Penny back again. Just wanted to let you know we're offering a free mini course on our website, www.fortura.ca. If you're having problems with Instagram and you're not getting the results that you want, then you really should listen to it. It's only 15 minutes. And I focused on common mistakes that I see on a regular basis that really will help your reach with Instagram. So do listen up. It's www.fortura.ca, free mini Instagram course.